We're going to look at how to find horizontal asymptotes. In the last video, we looked at how to find vertical asymptotes in wholes. So just as a review, vertical asymptotes in wholes come from factors in the denominator. It's a vertical asymptote if it's left, and you have to set it equal to 0 to find it. And it's a whole if it cancels, and you set it equal to 0. And to find the y value, you plug the x value into the reduced equation. If you look at the graph, you'll see that there's also a horizontal asymptote at y equals 0. If n is the highest exponent of x in the numerator, and d is the highest exponent of x in the denominator, if n is less than d, the horizontal asymptote's at 0. If n is greater than d, there's no horizontal asymptote, and if they're equal, you divide the coefficients of the terms where x has the highest exponent. If n is the highest exponent of x in the numerator, so that's a 1, and d is the highest exponent of x in the denominator, so that's a 2, n is less than d, because 1 is less than 2, which means the horizontal asymptote will be at y equals 0. We could have also looked at the reduced equation, and we would get the same thing. This is like 1x to the 0, because we don't see an x there. So here, if n is 0 and d is 1, 0 is less than 1, so n is still less than d, which would still make our horizontal asymptote be at 0. Let's look at a couple more examples. So we just did this one, and it was y equals 0. Number 2, n is 3, the highest exponent of the numerator is 3, the highest exponent of x in the denominator is 2. 3 is greater than 2. If numerator is greater than denominator, there's no horizontal asymptote. Number 3, this is x to the 0 if you don't see any x's. And then the denominator, it looks like, we don't know if it's a 1 or a 2, but if you were to FOIL it out, that's x plus 2 times x plus 2. Your first term is going to be an x squared, which means 2 is the power of the denominator, 0 is the power of the numerator, 0 is less than 2, so numerator is less than denominator, so y equals 0. And then finally here, numerator power is 2, denominator power is 2. Since they equal, when they equal, you have to divide the coefficients of the terms where x has the highest exponent. So the coefficient, or the number in front of the x of this term, is a 2, and here the coefficient is a 1. So 2 divided by 1 is 2. So for this one, y equals 2. I know it's easy to get these mixed up, so this is just a little way that helps me to remember it. It may or may not help you. If we have 1 over 2 compared to 2 over 1, 1/2, this number is closer to 0 than this number is. So this number, where the numerator is less than the denominator, is where we have 0. Like I said, that may or may not help, but if you can think of a way that helps you to remember it, that would be a good idea because it's easy to get those mixed up.